What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the breakdown video for the Fulton Jr. versus Naoya Inoue unified super bantamweight title fight that takes place Tuesday, July 25th in the main event of an ESPN Plus card. This is a huge fight right here with pound-for-pound implications. Before we get into that, if you guys could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I try to build my channel up here. This fight, and if you guys don't like what I'm doing, you know, go ahead and give me a thumbs down or leave a comment, let me know why. I'm open to the criticism. I just love doing these videos, especially these breakdown videos. They're my favorite videos to do. Really looking forward to seeing this fight right here. You know, in terms of pound for pound status, this is a big one. Fulton Jr. has shut down, in my opinion, 122 and claimed the top dog status here as the unified champ. And Naoya Inoue is a pound for pound, I mean, I would say top 3 fighter right now, and you could argue him for number 1. He's coming off of being the undisputed champion at 118 and now wants to, create a path towards undisputed here at 122. And he's going straight after the top dog at 122. And I think it's just a monster fight right here. You really, Naoya Inoue is taking the challenge, but he's showing that he has the heart of a lion and wants to really become the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. And I honestly think a win could give him that status right there, especially if it's convincing. And on the flip side, if Stephen Fulton gets any kind of win over Inoue, he's in the top 10 pound-for-pound. He really is. I mean, that's the kind of status a win over Inoue will gain Stephen Fulton Jr. So, big-time fight right here. And an extra caveat, the winner of this fight has a chance to become the undisputed champion at the end of the year. Marlon Taplis, the newly crowned IBF WBA unified champion, he upset MJ Mirajan Akhmadaliev back in April. The WBA just a couple weeks ago cleared the path for undisputed for Taplis to fight the winner of this fight by the end of the year, most likely, and maybe beginning of next year. But yeah, we very easily in the next 6 months could be seeing a new undisputed champion in the sport of boxing. So that just makes this fight even bigger with those kind of things on the horizon for the winner. But just the victory for the winner is going to be huge. Now, if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, what you would know, or even if you have, I just did the first part. I break down, I talk about the fight and what it means to the sport of boxing, you know, and how big of a fight it is. After that, I go into each fighter. In a championship fight like this, we start with the champion, and then we go to the challenger, and we discuss the same things, what they've got going on coming into the fight, and I ask the same questions on both sides. Then then after we do that, I will let you know, is it better for boxing, one or the other, and I give my prediction on the fight at the end of the breakdown video. So let's start now with the champion, the undefeated WBC WBO unified champ Stephen Fulton Jr., and see what he has done coming into this fight. Well, rolling into this fight, I always go back and look at their last 3 fights, and his last 3 fights were the biggest wins of his career collectively. They date back, though, to January of 2021. So we're talking 2.5 years, 3 fights. So hasn't been the most active guy, but he has the best wins. Start January 2021, he defeated Angelo Leo, who was undefeated coming in, to capture the WBO super bantamweight title. That was a big win for him. Then in November of 2021, he attempted to unify belts against undefeated Brandon Figueroa. This is the biggest fight of his career to date. It was a great fight. They went back and forth, but he counterpunched beautifully and outmaneuvered, outworked, and, you know, landed the better shots to earn a hard-fought 12-round majority decision over Figueroa in a Fight of the Year candidate. Then, in June of last year, 2022, he took on Daniel Roman, the former unified champion and top dog at 122, and he scored a dominating one-sided 12-round unanimous decision to retain his unified title. But he's been inactive now for just over a year heading into this fight. It's going to be a 13-month layoff for him, almost 14-month, and he's rolling in, you know, with that layoff. But he's hungry and he's coming in the biggest fight of his career by far. You know, it really is. And he, you know, he's going into enemy territory. So he does have the odds stacked against him in terms of that. But let's start with the questions on him now. First off, what kind of fight does he need to have to win this fight against Naoya Inoue? And I really think he needs to make Inoue come to him and not box in the middle of the ring, you know, as much. He can, but get Inoue to come to him so he can set those traps. If he can get Inoue to fall into where Inoue is just the super aggressor coming at him, I think he can counterpunch and outbox him. But he also needs to use his slight height. He has about 1.5 inch height advantage and his 3-inch reach advantage. That's gonna pay dividends. He needs to throw his jabs, he needs to use the angles, and he definitely needs to move. But if he gets in the center of the ring, it's combination punching right there. And every time Inoue steps in, he needs to step to the side, use the angles, but throw a combination, a 1-2, boom, boom, and get out and try not to get into an engaging war, because he, you know, he's gonna, and his stamina needs to be on point after the layoff, which I don't think we have to worry about that. But we do know that it's gonna be tough to hurt Inoue. So, all that being said, you know, he needs to really be ready for a packed crowd, a crowd against him, and he needs to be ready to go 12. But he needs to try to secure a big win in this one, like a clear win, because that's going to be tough to do on the road heading into Japan, in my opinion. Now, can Fulton defeat Stephen Inoue by a knockout? Him being the bigger man and Inoue moving up, I have to say it's possible, but I'd say it'd be more. I don't think he can one punch knock him out. He's 21-0, 8 knockouts on his resume. That's it. Not a big time puncher. I think it would have to be by just fully breaking Inoue down to the body and hurting him, wearing him down and stopping him that way. I think the chances of a knockout are way less likely. Can Fulton win a decision? Even in Japan, I think Fulton can win a decision. But if it's close, it's going to be tough. I think he needs to be decisive if he's going to win a decision. I do think that's possible. That can happen. But I don't know. I see this being a close fight. So it's going to be tough either way. But I do believe that Fulton can get a decision. Now, what does a win mean for Stephen Fulton Jr.? Well, it'd be the biggest victory of his career if he beats Naoya Inoue. It'd be even bigger than the Figueroa fight, which was a big win. But beating the monster, the guy who is the undisputed champ coming up in weight, Inoue's a pound-for-pound guy, that would really just open the door to monster things for Stephen Fulton Jr. between 122 and 126. Again, it leads to an undisputed title fight at the end of the year or early next year, and a win would be huge, and huge for Stephen Fulton. It would make him a star. It really would. What does a loss mean for Stephen Fulton Jr.? It just depends on how he loses. If he loses a close fight, I don't think it's going to hurt him that bad, but guys are not going to be so willing to fight him, so he's probably moving to 126 in my opinion if he loses. But if he goes out there and gets his ass whipped, then people are going to look at it like, you know, maybe he wasn't as good as we thought, and that's going to make it also difficult for him to land big fights. So a loss is really going to hurt Stephen Fulton, in my opinion. but again, it depends on how he loses. But opportunities aren't going to be so out there and willing if he loses this fight to Naoya Inoue. Now, let's go into our challenger, the undefeated former multi-division champion, former undisputed Bantamweight champion, the monster, Naoya Inoue. 24-0, 21 knockouts. This guy is dangerous. We know that. His last, rolling into this fight, he's on fire. His last 3 fights have all ended by knockout. They date back to December of 2021, where he laid out some guy named Darpen, I believe. It was just a stay busy fight to retain his unified title at the time at 118. 8th round TKO victory. He followed that up in June of last year when he rematched Nonito Donaire, the ageless veteran future Hall of Famer. They fought to unify 3 of the 4 belts at 118 in a rematch from their World Boxing Super Series fight that happened a couple years earlier, when Inoue got a hard-fought 12-round decision win over Donaire. In you know, a fight that I felt like Inoue was overlooking Donaire, and it ended up being very close. But Donaire had went on fire since that fight, and everybody thought it was going to be a good rematch, and he destroyed Nonito Donaire in just 2 rounds to unify 3 of the 4 belts at 118, and what I believe was the biggest win of his career. And then he followed that up in December and took on Paul Butler, who is the WBO champion. He tried to become undisputed champ, did Inoue. He accomplished that goal with a dominating TKO victory over Paul Butler to unify all 4 belts and become an undisputed champion at 118 pounds. He did what he said. He said he was going to move up in weight and fight at 122, but he went straight after the top dog. That shows true hunger right there. And he's got everything working in his favor to become the world champion. So he's hungry, he's driven, he knows undisputed at 122 is coming, and that could come at the end of the year during the Japanese holiday right there. That Japan loves having boxing at the end of the year. So I think an all Asian fight with Filipino Marlon Tapales to become undisputed champion is huge, but he's got to get through Stephen Fulton Jr., which in my opinion is probably going to be the most difficult fight of his career. But he's hungry as hell. He wants undisputed, and I can't wait to see him in this fight. Now, what does Naoya Inoue need to do to defeat Stephen Fulton Jr.? He needs to box and punch in this fight. He does not need to go straight after Fulton, because Fulton is crafty, he's elusive, and he also has the height and reach advantage here. So he needs to take advantage of using his jab to work his way in. He does need to try to get on the inside, but he needs to jab his way in my opinion. Jab, 1-2, jab his way in, maybe double or triple the jab to get on the inside, and then throw the right, throw the hooks, score points on the outside before Fulton can try to counterpunch. And yes, be the aggressor, because it is going to be a difficult fight for him. He needs to negate the reach advantage by getting inside of Fulton, but throwing combinations. Try to throw 2 or 3 before Fulton can counterpunch him, and that might be the key to victory over Stephen Fulton. Now, can Naoya Inoue knock out Stephen Fulton Jr.? That's going to be difficult. Stephen Fulton's got a great chin. He's been in there against hard hitters like Angelo Leo and Brandon Figueroa, and he has not looked hurt once. I don't believe Naoya Inoue is going to be able to hurt and knock out Stephen Fulton Jr. I just don't see it. But it's not to say it can't happen. He's got that lightning power out of nowhere, and maybe he can catch Fulton. Maybe he can break him down, beat up the body, and get him out of there. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it's less likely that he knocks him out, but it can happen. Can he beat Stephen Fulton Jr. by a decision? And I think he can. I think he can win a decision over Stephen Fulton Jr. I think he can win by boxing from the outside. He might be able to make it convincing, but I ultimately think it's going to be close if it goes to the scorecards. But again, he is fighting in his home country, and that does play a home field advantage. What does a win mean for Naoya Inoue here? A win is huge. It potentially, again, I think it's going to be the most difficult fight of his career, but I don't know if it's going to be the biggest win on paper, but it could lead to bigger wins, and it could make him the pound for pound best fighter in boxing, to be honest. So a win it's monstrous. It's huge for Naoya Inoue over Stephen Fulton. It's huge for his career. So very, very big, and again, leads to potentially undisputed by the end of the year against Marlon Tapales. So it really, really is big for Naoya Inoue to defeat Stephen Fulton Jr. here. What does a loss mean for Inoue? If he loses to Stephen Fulton in any capacity at home, it's going to devastate him in his career. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to hurt him as bad as other people think, just because it's such a big fight and Stephen Fulton's such a credible opponent. So, yes, the loss is going to hurt him, but Naoya Inoue has such opportunities and big opportunities that he'll just go back to the drawing board and try to work his way in, and he's got such a big name that he can do that and work with. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt, but I don't think it's going to hurt him that bad unless he gets wasted or dominated, and I guess that could happen, but I don't see that happening either. So, now, is it better for boxing if Stephen Fulton Jr. retains his 2 belts, or if Naoya Inoue becomes a unified champ? I think it's better for boxing if Inoue wins, because worldwide he's such a big figure. He really is. Pound for pound, he's exciting, has that style, undefeated, a Japanese fighter. He's a buzzsaw. He's got the monster moniker, the name. Stephen Fulton Jr. is a good fighter, but he doesn't hold the name and the effect and the impact that Naoya Inoue has. So, in my opinion, it absolutely is bigger for boxing if Inoue wins this fight. Now, finally, my prediction. Who's going to win between Stephen Fulton Jr. and Naoya Inoue? I think it's as close to a 50-50 fight as you can get. I have to pick, though, because he has such an home field advantage and because he's such a good fighter, I have to go with Naoya Inoue in this fight. I just have to pick him, but it's going to be a good, close battle. I think Inoue is going to probably just throw more punches than Fulton and be the aggressor. It might not be a very attractive fight, but I just think he's going to score points by boxing and punching and defeat Stephen Fulton Jr. that way. But I absolutely can see Stephen Fulton counterpunching him, outboxing him, outworking him, and winning a comfortable decision as well. But I'm picking Naoya Inoue to win a close decision in this one and become the unified champion and set up an undisputed title fight at the end of the year. Can't wait to see it. Tuesday, July 25th, ESPN Plus. This is the Fulton versus Inoue breakdown video, and I'm picking Naoya Inoue. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.